I'm kind of beside myself with excitement right now too, because you are the first person I thought of when I got to the point where I was like, I'm gonna make a magazine of all the things that have been happening for me over the last 5, 6 years. And it's called The Evolved Performer, as you know. And what we are really, really diving deep into for my audience is where music and mindset meet. And what I know that you're in the health and fitness space, but one of the most important things that happens for performers such as myself, and I just had a birthday yesterday, and I realized that I'm like, I know, like, did I not tell? Is that as we get older and as we perform more, we have to be so much healthier. And I feel like this is the first lead off for, I was thinking, I was like, who would be my favorite person to talk to? One, I have this myriad of amazing people, as do you, in our wheelhouse. And so I was like, I want to interview Bree. And I know that was a long-winded way of me introducing you. But ladies and gentlemen, please welcome one of my dearest, closest friends, Bree Argett Singer, or also known as the Betty Rocker. And I'm not going super deep into like all of the crazy things we're doing. I just really wanted to shed a light on our beautiful friendship and kind of just hear a little bit about how this whole thing came about for you, because isn't it interesting? We've had this beautiful similar path together. Like, and I think I remember the first time you were shooting some of your videos, and we put a big link in it. We put a beautiful article about you in our magazine about all of the stuff the Betty Rockers do. And I remember when you still do, when you were shooting them on your first iPhones. And I was like, and
Yeah.
what was that now? How long have we been friends? We've been friends for like
9 years.
9 years now.
Yeah. And I just want to say thank you. It's such an honor to get to be a part of this show and part of your magazine. And I was so impressed. I'm so impressed with the layout of it. And my favorite thing about of course, about myself in your magazine is that you said, Betty Rocker, her name basically says everything. It's just like, she rocks, right?
She totally rocks. And one of the things, where did that come from? You've told me, and I know.
That's exactly what I wanted to share, is that I was called Punk Rock Betty Crocker growing up a lot because I was always like motorcycles, dirt bikes, adrenaline-fueled sports. As I got a little older, I started doing a lot of skydiving, motorcycle riding at the racetrack, taking track days. But I was always like, I'm like hard and fast, but I'm also like very nurturing, and I loved to bake, and I love to like look for creative solutions for friends who would have like eating issues or like gluten intolerances and stuff like that. So I kind of morphed the two together into Betty Rocker back in like 2011. And we've been friends for 9 years, friend.
Yeah.
This is how long that we've known each other.
It has been. And I would agree 1,000% that you are super, super badass. You are my ninja Jedi, is what I like to refer to you as. And I think it's, I love that you said that you're a nurturer too, because I have very few in our circle and in life. I think people will notice that the ones that stick really, for me, nurturing is a huge thing. As a lot of the folks know, that I have a ton of abandonment issues that I had to go through. So the friends that I keep close to me, they're very close and dear to my heart. And so the nurturing part of how you show up for your audience, and the care and the love that you put into your friendships, it's so plain and it's just so obvious. And with the Betty Rocker platform, I think, there's so many different health things out there. And I'm doing like the 7-day, I'm doing the 7-day meal plan and 30-day meal plan, and because I've got all the, I'm so excited to do these. But you
sent me pictures of your fridge before, like of doing my meal plans. Always so impressed with you.
Oh, well, I'm so impressed that I can do it because it's easy, and for a DJ and for an entertainer and an artist and a creative, it's so hard to make things simple. Everything is just crazy around us all the time. And so when you made it easy for me, I was like, oh, and it wasn't just me. You make it so easy for everybody. I wanted to just kind of like let my entertainers and the folks that are listening know, like, with your plans, right? We have what, seven? You have seven different plans in there. What would you say is something that would be really useful for folks that are on tour and playing and doing stuff all the time? What would be one of your favorite, I guess, programs in there that would be highly recommended?
I would say for anybody who's busy and on the road like you guys are and doesn't have access to a gym and doesn't necessarily have like regular access, what you want, especially if you're a performer, if you're using your voice, if you're using your body, if you're playing an instrument, any of those things require a lot of stamina and a
Yeah,
lot of really good energy. And one of the best ways to boost your immune system and boost your energy is to do a quick workout. And I love the free Make Fat Cry challenge because you get a 15-minute video every single day for 30 days that comes to you via email, and you can just stop, drop, and Betty Rock and do the workout that I said. And it's really, I mean, they're not easy workouts. They're definitely challenging workouts, but I feel like it's a great way to build that habit into your life. And the catch with that challenge, of course, because there's a catch, the video expires every 24 hours. So you
that's
have to
it.
do your
Yeah.
workout and stay on track, right? But
Hmm.
could I go back for a second because there was a few things you mentioned that I wanted to unpack because you
Yeah,
you you
please
brought up
do.
some really important points. One of which was I just wanted to share that the name the Betty Rocker. Well, I shared with you how I got the name. The reason that the brand is named Betty Rocker is because I aspired to be a person who rocked my life, who wanted to be someone who cared about myself and could be a rock of a person. And every time I said the name Betty Rocker, I felt like a rock star, like of my life. And I wanted to be the Betty Rocker so everyone else who followed the brand could be a Betty Rocker too, because the brand isn't just about me. The brand is about everyone else really rocking their lives. And there's little
Rocking
Betty
lives.
Rockers, there's all these people. And I feel like while I generally reach women, what I feel like is really powerful with the brand is that our mission is to impact people so that they're rocking the best version of themselves so they can be good role models to the people that look up to them. And that to me is really powerful because it has an impact on the little people around them, around on their husbands, on everyone around them. And the brand is for everyone, but it does tend to really reach mostly women. And what you said about me being a nurturer, you said so many beautiful things there that I want to really say thank you for. And the reason you see them in me is because you're just mirroring those beautiful things in yourself to me. You
Mm.
see them in me because you are those things. And we've grown up together in our respective brands in many ways, and we've helped each other along the way, sometimes in just seeing each other and seeing each other's like beauty and in believing in each other because we've been able to believe in ourselves or we wouldn't be where we are right now. But
Right.
I feel like I just wanted to say that you seeing me as a nurturer is because you are such a nurturer. I mean, the way that you are at events, the way I've witnessed you at events, how you take care of the crowd, how you're constantly aware of people, how giving you are
Oh,
to everyone so effortlessly. And I know it's not effortless because I know it's a lot of work, but you make it feel so
yeah.
easy, And so I just wanted to unpack that because I felt like there's a lot in what you said, and those things are really why you see them in me is because you have them in yourself. That's what you're seeing.
Oh, I love that, and I agree 100% too. It's fun. The mirror of our of who we have in our lives definitely makes sense, and so thank you for that too. And you're right. It seems effortless because just like how you've done your thing, it's 10 years of packed in just the mastery of what we do in our craft, right? um, and the nurturing part of how we take care of our crowds, I think, is very similar. Like the amount of love that you put into your programs, that you put into the way that you can make it accessible and chewable, and it's fun. Like the game, it's almost like a gamified way of getting healthy again, and I think that's so needed right now. And I think why I was really excited and inspired to have you front and center with me on this inaugural release of this syndication is that if there's one thing we can do amidst this crazy thing this magazine is going to be releasing this week, and I think the most important thing, along with getting your relationships in order right now, is getting this part of your health in order. And I've
Yeah.
seen people walk, I'm seeing people, but I really wanted to give people this beautiful guide that you provide to get themselves comfortable back in their own skin, comfortable
Yep.
opening up their fridge, and comfortable looking at their phone for something other than crappy news. And I was like, what better way to do that than to introduce them to you?
Well,
And
it's really, really generous of you. And there's another thing that I feel like we both really share in our heart and what we give to our audiences as performers, and that is inclusivity. I feel like the way that you share your music and the way that you share yourself, it's very inclusive of everyone. And what I want to say about the programs that I've created, both the workout programs, the eating guides, all of these things, I don't believe there's one perfect way to train. I don't believe there's one perfect way to eat. I think different things work for different people at different times. And a lot of it comes down to your lifestyle needs. I think there are some important structures that belong in both of those places. When it comes to your eating, you should base your eating around whole foods. It doesn't matter how you're choosing to practice that specifically. What really matters at the heart of it is that you're eating whole foods as close to the way that nature created them as possible, and not eating the processed foods as much as possible, with of course your occasional fun treats. We gotta live, but I also think when it comes to exercise, there's a lot of different effective ways to train. And that's why I have programs that really span the gamut of body weight training, which is incredibly effective when done right, to training, with heavy weights. There's pretty much everything in between. Yeah. And I think I'm probably best known for home workouts because I make workouts work for you at home. But the main thing I wanted to say is about inclusivity, and that there is something for everyone, and something that will work for you if you're stuck at home right now very easily with that Make Fat Cry challenge. And from there, of course, you can go down the whole rabbit hole of all of my programs, check out my eating guides, check out the eating guides all have 3 different ways that you can approach eating. There's shortcut eating if you're super busy traveling, which I love.
Yeah.
There's the batch style, which a lot of us who like to meal prep use. And there's also something that's kind of in the middle, which is where you cook a couple meals on the fly and then the rest are sort of shortcuts. So there's just something for everyone. I just feel like it's about inclusivity. And I feel like that's really something that you and I both really share, even though we may present it a little differently. It's one of our core values, I think.
It really is. And I love that part of it. And inclusivity was not something that I was thinking of too, which is great. But it also kind of leads into the other beautiful term that is so uniquely yours that I love. I use it all the time, which is flossom. And I would love for you to dive into where that came from, because we all are flossom. And
we are.
Just to embrace that. But can you
Yeah.
Can you tell me, because I actually didn't know where you came up with this, because I wanted to ask you about this, because
I cannot take full credit for coming up with the term. However, I took full ownership of the term and really worked it into the way that I was teaching things. Just like the word Betty Rocker was out there in the vernacular. I just really took ownership of it, trademarked it, made it my own, made it a brand.
Yeah.
And that's what you do when you really get behind something. And the word flossom is available to everyone. I just saw that word and I thought that it so perfectly encapsulated this thing about self-love that I think a lot of us miss when we're following a workout program, or we're following a diet program, or anything that we're doing that has to do with our bodies, because we're so critical of ourselves, so harsh with ourselves.
Harsh. Yeah.
Yeah. And we sort of have this all or nothing mentality when it comes to how we approach the practice of eating and training. And I like to see it as all or something. I feel like let's do all or something, not all or nothing. And that kind of dovetails into why I really liked Flossom, because I know that I don't have to be perfect to be fucking awesome. I can be flawed and awesome at the same time and really be Flossom. And I'll never forget seeing Renee Aria speak for the very first time at Awesomeness Fest, way back in the day. And she did her Flip Your Flaws talk. And I remember because of course, for those of you who don't know Renee, she was a former model, and she had a brain tumor that impacted one of her facial nerves, and it caused half of her face to become paralyzed. And this woman is an amazing, powerful woman. And she did so many facial exercises. She's brought her face back to nearly how it was. But I find her more beautiful because she isn't perfectly symmetrical. I find her beautiful because she embraces all of these unique things about herself. And that in itself, the story of that, going from being the epitome of what we all look at as perfection, a model, right? That's what the
Right.
industry has
Right.
made us see. That is such a powerful example to me of someone who is living Flossom, like living in the Flossom model, and that is
Oh,
something that
so good. Yeah.
really, really impacted me like years ago. And I remember listening to her talk, just weeping, feeling like, oh my gosh, I saw, because talk about the mirror. It's like I had to face those truths in myself. Wow, I am being so hard on myself. I just hate how I look all the time. And why is that? Because I don't love you, Sammy, because you look perfect. I love you for so many different reasons. Just like you love me for so many different reasons. I don't need to show up and look like some airbrushed bullshit. I can show up and look like myself,
Well, we look pretty damn good, though. I will give us that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but how I look is just a tiny part of why you love me and why people love me. And I get that when you look at me on social media, not you, but my audience, the women who aspire to have a body like mine or have that fit, strong body, the first thing that they see is my physical body. But the interesting thing is they start to understand that my physical body is actually a byproduct of the way that I talk to myself, nourish myself, move my body, love myself. And so that starts to become how they're able to practice and apply their lifestyle. And it becomes this healthy lifestyle of awesome or awesome, if you want to call it that.
And I think this story is so good, and you actually, and this kind of dovetails into the next little piece I wanted to introduce my audience to as well, is that your persona is going to be amplified even more, because now, and I'm so excited, I also have a pretty intimate involvement with this, but outside of it, I'm so excited that you're going to be releasing your own podcast finally, so we can really dive into staying aligned with you even more, and you can stay aligned with us and your audience even more. And you dive deep into that self-talk in that very first episode. You talk about how destructive it was for you for years, trying to get to a place where you were accepting of your flaws and accepting, and once that happened, that's when the weight started to melt off. That's when the body transformation started to happen. And I was just, that floored me, even though it was, it was our team that was kind of shaping that story and soundtracking and putting it together. I was like, whoa, that is huge. And I know this is so great. We were supposed to talk for like 5 minutes. I just wanted to say how much I love you and then put it in the magazine. But this is so great. And I appreciate you letting me explore more of this. But when we can change that voicing in our soul to finally understand that we're not perfect, but we are enough, and that we can be the next greatest version of ourselves. That is such a powerful thing that I think that you do so well for folks, is you help them get to the next best version of themselves without beating their asses up. And you make it
That's the real work. That's the real work that I do. I mean, you nailed it. I mean, that's the true transformation. So I've been called the gateway drug to personal growth. I'm the gateway to personal growth via food and fitness, right? Because it said people see the body, but unlike, many other fitness people who you may see as my competition, I'm actually not in competition with anyone, because my true work is really to transform people to the next level of themselves. So that's where I'm at in my own personal transformation and growth. And I'm so grateful to get to work on the podcast with you, because not only do the episodes sound like the highest caliber, I mean, I know the content is the best that I could give. The content itself is important. But to have the quality of sound actually feel like it matches me as a creator where I'm at in my process, and in my business, I'm not an amateur anymore. I am at a very high level with my business and my brand. And to be able to come to you guys and have such a highly produced sound quality come out with those episodes, and wow, I mean, I'm so excited to be able to share that with my audience. And also, not only that, to have people who really get me and understand heart and message and care about having that be out there. That's really meaningful to me. So I really appreciate working with you guys, and that you do understand what I'm doing.
Thank you. And that's It's a beautiful two-way street, which is what I really want to translate to the folks inside the Evolve Performer community, is that when it comes to taking your performance and taking your connections and your relationships, if you can evolve those, and the other reason this is such a beautiful way to start this whole journey for myself with you is our relationship, our careers, and our mastery have all become where, or they've got to where they're at because of the small steps of evolution that we took. And it's all about evolving, and it's all about learning how to lean into those skill sets that help us evolve to the next space. And the first skill set that we all need to do, and I will say this so many times because repetition is the best way to drill this in sometimes, is to get your health right. And the most fun way that I've had doing this, and I've tried everything, and I've tried so many things, and on the road, all the things, I I have to just give you so much credit for creating this system with the Betty Rocker and evolving yourself over the years, over the decade that I've known you, because we all start somewhere, and I remember the days in your first
The
apartment
days
in
of the
Denver.
iPhone, what I used a flip cam.
You
I used a
flip
freaking flip
cam,
cam in the very beginning. And I like could barely talk to the camera. I was so shy.
so
And
shy.
like, and then I have 10 iPhones and I don't even know where I'm putting all my data. And I'm like but Sammy, I didn't stop. And let me say that one of the most important reasons behind my success, I'll speak for myself, is relationships, is
Totally.
cultivating friendships with people who believed in me, like yourself. And it wasn't just the relationships I was cultivating with other people, it was the relationship I was cultivating with myself, which finally became something that I
Boom.
cared about, right? Enough to have and be able to develop deeper relationships with friends and people who believed in me along the way and supported me as I went through that. I mean, there's no such thing as being self-made. We're all helping each other all the time. And even the challenging
Oh,
relationships that we have are hugely helpful for us, especially if we're willing to let our ego get in the back seat and we're able to take personal responsibility for the things that we screwed up and the things that didn't go perfectly our way, and we can just
right.
keep rising up every next level. Like, it's just, I think, like, all the lessons I've learned in my life I've tried to put into my programs as far as like gamifying it, right? Because if we can see it as like this beautiful journey where we're in the driver's seat and we take detours here and there, and we're on the path though, and it's
Totally.
something that we're doing because we love ourselves. I think it's really it's a beautiful journey. It's a really beautiful journey.
Yeah, it is. And I am so thankful, and I can't wait to get this in front of my crew, and get this in the magazine, and to listen to your podcast and share that with the world as well. But Bree, I love you, and this is just such a beautiful way to start. You always bring a smile to my soul, and I think of one of my favorite images I've ever had taken of me, ever, at all of the festivals that we've done, is that one of you and me walking when I got my arm
Oh
around
my
you.
gosh, yes,
Yeah, the
I
one
love
that's
that.
actually in the magazine that we put in here. It's
I know that was a great moment too, because didn't we just like run into each other randomly and we just had like something really important we had to talk about, and it was
yeah,
like perfect,
yeah.
like one of those perfect moments. Yeah.
It's one of those ones that we always have. And I think what really is great, and this is kind of my favorite thing that you and I do for each other. I think, remember the very first time we were at Robert's house, and you had no idea I played a guitar. You were like, "Whoa, what was that?" I feel like you do that for me all the time, with the way that you take care of your audience, the way that you level up next and do all those amazing things for your tribe. It just is so inspirational, and it's motivational too. You can be inspired, but it's very motivating.
Well,
And
it's the thing that, and when you look for good things in yourself, you can't help but see them in other people. If you practice that regularly, so many of us go looking for the things that are wrong about ourselves, and that's part of what makes us constantly like judge other people and compare ourselves to other people, right? But when we make a practice and a habit out of looking for the good in ourselves, you just can't help but see it in all the people around you, and it's just a really good thing. Like, that's why I always so easy for me to see you shine because you are very shiny.
Well, right back at you, and thank you so much for doing this with me. I know you are a very busy woman, so um, I will talk.
I always have time for a friend.
Oh, thank you, honey. When you guys at the Evolve Performer, check out thebettyrocker.com, and all the links are below in the magazine. Actually, they're all over you. They're all over the magazine. So anyway, hell, we talk to you guys next. And thanks, Bree. Love you.